Good morning. Sita is the poem by Torudat in your AltE syllabus. So, coming to the poem directly, to the explanation of the poem. Now, from the name itself, you can understand. I'm sure we all know who Sita is in Hindu religion and mythology. And this poem is written by Torudat. Torudat was a pre-independence writer. Now, as students of AltE or honors, we should know when we are studying Indian literature, Indian English literature, we should know about pre-independence writer, the post-independence writer. There should be some clarity. So Torudat was one of the most important pre-independence writer, and she was the first English novelist in English. Okay. Now, she came from a very distinguished family of intellectuals. Earlier also, when we did a poem by Sarojini Naidu, we have read about Sarojini Naidu's family and the impact of the family. Naidu also came from a very distinguished family. Similarly, Dutt also came from a very important family in those times. She was also the cousin of Ramesh Chandra Dutt. And Ramesh Chandra Dutt was a very important economist and a writer, so they were cousins. Torudat's father had converted to Christianity, and her family, wife and children, had also converted to Christianity. Even Ramesh Chandra Dutt had also converted into Christianity. The reason behind was the problem of casteism. There were many Hindus in those times who were very irritated or very offended with the caste system, and so many of them used to convert into Christianity. So this Dutt family was filled with many Christians, new Christians, and Torudat's mother was. Her father had converted to Christianity, but her mother could not be immediately converted. She took a bit of time. Took a bit of time to become a Christian, but when she became a quite ardent Christian. But even though she became a Christian, she never forgot her relation with the Hindu religion or Hindu mythology. Even in this poem, you will find how the mother tells the story of Sita to the three children. Now, these three children were none but Torudat, her brother, and her sister, and the mother was none than Torudat's mother. So we find biographical elements in the poem. Then Torudat, she was a polyglot. Who was a polyglot? Who knew many languages. Now, she knew English very well. She knew French. Apart from Bengali, later on she also learned Sanskrit. She became a very serious student of Sanskrit and Hindu text and mythology. And all these three children died very young. Torudat's brother and sister died very young. She saw death when she was just 9 years old, when her brother died, and later on when she was around 18, her sister also died, and she was left alone. You will see in this poem how she remembers her siblings, that is the brothers and sisters. She writes about the three happy children. These three happy children are none but the three brother and sisters, and the importance of the mother. We know the story of Sita, and this is the poem where Sita where the mother tells the three children the story of Sita when she had gone for the second exile. The first exile was with her husband and brother-in-law, Ram and Lakshman. The second exile was when she was abandoned in the forest. She had left Ram to live uh, in the forest, and she had taken shelter in the house of Valmiki. Okay, so how do you relate this with the life, or rather we can say Torudat could relate her life with Sita's life, the loneliness aspect. Okay, she was also left alone when her brother and sister died. Now, it is something very pathetic if someone's siblings with whom you grew up, and then one after another all die, and uh, then definitely there will be some effect left in you, left in the person. So there was some kind of loneliness in her. Similarly, maybe she was trying to connect that Sita must have also felt some kind of loneliness. Her life went almost entire life uh, went into exile. First time with her husband, then alone, and she had her sons. So all some kind of the loneliness of Torudat and the loneliness of Sita can be related here. Sita symbolizes purity, a wife who was so devoted to her husband, a wife who withdrew from social life. Now, let me tell you, women, particularly in Eastern society, in Indian society, even now, live very contented, simple lives within the home premises. ঘরের ভিতরেই জীবন কাটে বেশিরভাগ মেয়েদের এখনও আমাদের দেশে, গ্রামেগঞ্জেও শহরেও ম্যাক্সিমাম উইমেন আর হোম মেকার্স বেসিক্যালি. So imagine in Toruda's time, where women were mostly definitely were confined themselves to homes, and then Sita also was a similar kind of woman who confined herself to social life. But Torudat wants to emphasize that a woman who lives in simplicity within home premises can also be a woman of she also might be having some power, some capacity. She also might be a woman of action, because Sita could live without. She herself came from according to Hindu mythology, she was the Ram's wife, and then paternally also she came from a king's family. She was not supposed to live in forest after forest. First time with husband, then alone, second time in the second exile. কিন্তু আমরা দেখি উনি থাকতে পেরেছেন. Yes, so you can see that means what, there was some kind of inner strength in Sita and in such kinds of women. Now, for example, this again you can connect with Toruda's mother also. Toruda's mother, she did not want to become a Christian initially. She was not convinced. ওনার একটু সময় লেগেছিল খ্রিস্টান হতে, বাট ইভেন খ্রিস্টান হওয়ার পরও she never snatched the Hindu past from her children. এখানে আমরা পয়েমেও পাই যে কীভাবে ছেলে মেয়েদেরকে উনি এইসব রামায়ণ মহাভারতের গল্প শোনাতেন, সীতার গল্প শোনাতেন. So this means what? Although they were all Christians, but they remained connected with their Hindu past also. These are the main aspects in the poem. Also, when you read the poem, you will find that how Torudat is able to capture the rural things, how she is very close to nature. Despite coming from such an influential family, despite coming from a place like Calcutta, then she had also gone to France. France ওরা 4 বছরের জন্য পুরো ফ্যামিলি চলে গেছিল. After they became Christians, she was educated there. She learned French very well. Despite having this kind of such a mixed background and education and interaction with Western world, she never forgot nature. She never forgot the Indian nature. প্রকৃতির সাথে যেটা রিলেশন সেটার থেকে উনি আলাদা হন নাই. rather she captures the rural things. Usually তো এটা সিটি লাইফের রাইটারের কাছ থেকে আমরা expect নাও করতে পারি, but here this is not the case. We find that she finds the positive aspects in nature and she wrote what she saw, and also she takes this nature as a recluse. she finds, as I told you, positive strength from it. এটা থেকে উনি পজিটিভ স্ট্রেংথ নিয়েছেন। শি হ্যাজ লস্ট দ্য ফার্স্ট ফ্যামিলি, যেটা সুন্দর, যেটা ভাই বোনের সাথে জীবন ছিল, সেটা তো আর পাওয়া যাবে না। দ্যাট ক্যানট বি ইন্টারপ্রিটেড ইন দ্য সেম ওয়ে, বাট শি রিইন্টারপ্রিটেড ইট। উনি সেটা আবার তৈরি করেছেন। সেই যে স্যাড লাইফ, সেই যে মেলাঙ্কলিক একটা অ্যাসপেক্টও আছে। যখন তোমরা কবিতা পড়বে, ইউ উইল ফাইন্ড দ্যাট there is some kind of seriousness and sadness, because her life was like that. Her personal life was a sad life, particularly seeing her young brothers and sisters dying one after another. সেই ভাই বোনের সাথে জীবন তো আর ফিরে আসবে না, but how does she reinterpret it? She reinterpreted it through characters like Sita, through characters like her mother, who was such a source of strength. And then also she took the help of nature, and there she created a new world for herself. She resorted to writing. Later, Bhono mara jawar por, we find that she creates the world in writing, in thinking, in reading. Particularly France থেকে আসার পর, she and her family, they resorted back to learning Sanskrited importance, and she resorted back to knowing the Indian roots through religion. And then also when they had gone to France, they had realized that although they had become Christians, there was some kind of difference was maintained with them. So maybe because of their color or ethnicity. এখন ইউরোপের লোকেদের মতো তো আমরা সাদা নয়, যতই আমরা সাদা ফেয়ার কালারের হই না কেন, there is some kind of difference, or rather the Europeans or the whites differentiate us. So after returning back from France, she insisted to go back to her roots, to learning Sanskrit, to learning the Hindu religion again. But they remain Christians, but they remain connected to the world of their past religion and culture. So in the poem also, this is how you can relate the past and the present. Then there is a theme of death, because death plays a very important role in many of her other writings also, because she has seen death so closely. And then she uses English language to counter the colonizers. Okay, this is something the Indian writers used to do most of the time at then. They use the same English language to show the colonizers that you can capture the land. তোমরা আমাদের জমি জায়গার মালিক, দেশের মালিক হতে পারো, but you cannot capture our mind. This is something very important when you read the poem. And I have started updating my blog. Please go through the blog. I have written down some questions and answers there. I will keep on updating more. Please go through the blog. It will be updated every now and then. And the next lesson will be uploaded soon. Thank you very much.